I don't feel alone. You just settled in and it already feels like home.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
All right, so we're back.
We're back.
Another week of grandiosity. I don't even really know why I said that.
That's right.
Didn't make any sense at all. How you doing, Marty? You good?
I'm good, Mike.
So tonight we're going to have Lesha Malone on with us, and so I'll tell you a little of the backstory on why Lesha stood out to me as somebody that we should have on. We did a ribbon cutting and 5-year anniversary for them. They were not members of the chamber when they first opened up, but then I think during COVID, we touched base with them and we decided that they decided that they would join, and so we weren't doing ribbon cuttings or anything during COVID, so it just kind of got backburnered, and then we decided to do it. But while I was there, Lesha started sharing some of her personal story with me. And as I remark in the podcast, she said, I really need to let you read this chapter that I wrote for this book. And I believe the book is called The Sisterhood. Like an idiot, I forgot to bring it with me tonight. So, but she does have a chapter in the book that kind of explains the process of her journey. We get into it a little bit here tonight. And, in all honesty, like it was just such an inspiration to hear her talk. That I just felt like it was one of those things that we kind of needed to bring to a bigger audience. And
I think when you're just hearing her story and just the excitement that she has for the passion she has for what she does is pretty cool.
Yeah. And so when Lesha comes on tonight, we're excited for you to hear her. So just a couple of things that we are working on rounding out some guests for you here in the coming weeks. We took a couple weeks off there.
Life's busy.
We had a couple cancellations that things happen. The people that are sick, we want you to stay away.
That's right.
That's fine. We're okay with you staying home. But we're hoping to kind of get about halfway through the season here before the end of the year. And we're looking at some opportunities. But as always, if you have people that you want to see on, by all means, reach out to us either through Facebook or you can text us. Most of you probably have our numbers by now. Or you can just send an email to feelslikehomepod@gmail.com. I check it nearly every day.
Yeah.
Nearly every day. I'm not going to commit to every day. I have too many email addresses to check to do it every day. I do
too. It's overwhelming some days.
But we appreciate you listening. We appreciate the fact that you're making time out of your day. I had so many comments on the Cassidy McFadden episode. They were overjoyed. But I think honestly what shone through in that episode was just how bright of an intelligent person she is. So that's exactly what we want to do with this podcast. And so, if you have other ideas, please let us know.
Actually, funny story today, I bumped into somebody at the donut shop at Krispy Kreme, and he's like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast." I'm like, "Hey, thanks. I appreciate that." And he said that he drives a truck, and that's what he passes time, listen to podcasts, and picked up a local podcast. And he's like, I love learning about our city.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, just great feedback.
Speaking of which, we need to get those Krispy Kreme people on here, don't we?
Yeah, that'd be great.
We've not had the Renaissance on here yet. I'll have to touch base with them. They're early risers, so I might have to figure out something to get them in here.
That's right.
But we have not told the story of Crispy with a C, so we got to get on that.
Yeah, that'd be a good story to tell.
All right. Maybe I can bring us some coffee or something. What's your go-to donut at Crispy? Oh, you like the whole wheat,
The whole wheat, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they name it wrong because people are like, why would I want to eat a whole wheat donut? But it is the best donut in the place.
Yeah.
And just think about if you like their pumpkin donuts, which a lot of people do this time of year, it's basically that donut, that moist donut.
Yeah.
Only cinnamon sugar, not in the batter, not donut.
And it's not glazed?
It's not glazed.
Okay. I might be sold on this. Because I'm a cinnamon roll guy. White iced is mine.
White iced cinnamon rolls are good. I like the glazed cinnamon rolls too.
Yep. I mean, honestly, there's not a bad donut. I've never heard of a bad donut. I can tell you that. But crispy with a C is definitely on our list. So, well, all that said, thanks for listening as always.
We appreciate you.
We hope you enjoy our episode today with Lesha Malone of Euphoria, Dance and Fitness, and Whole Life Counseling. Well, we're really excited to have Lesha Malone with us today. So I'm going to let Lesha explain herself and introduce herself. I'll let you do that first, and then I'll kind of do a little bit more than that. But usually I go on forever, and I'm actually containing myself this time. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So.
It'll be fine.
Okay. So thanks for having me.
Sure.
So I am the owner of Whole Life Counseling Services in Chillicothe and West Union now, and also Euphoria Fitness and Dance Studio. I'm a mother of 4 and a grandmother as well. As I was sharing with you earlier, I have a dog, Georgia.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. That's what I do for a living. I enjoy it, and lots of time with my family and friends, and pretty much an advocate as well. I would say I'm definitely an advocate.
Yeah.
So for several different types of individuals. And I would say I'm a teacher too in some ways.
So part of the reason why I asked you to come on is, we've known each other for a while because you've been in the chamber for a while, but I don't think I'd ever really heard the story behind the person until we talked when we did the 5-year anniversary of Euphoria, and we chatted, and then you said, well, I'm going to bring a book to you and I want you to read it. So I read the chapter.
Okay. You read it.
And I have questions now, but,
okay.
But I guess the overwhelming thing that came out of that form from me was it's easy for people to look at business owners and say that the business is the hardest part of the journey. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem like that might be the case for you. Like the getting to do the business was the hardest part of the journey. Or would you say that that's true? Yes,
definitely. In some ways. Yep.
So let's talk about that a little bit and unpack that a little bit, because I think, you're very open and honest in the chapter that I read, and I love that about you. You talk about the mistakes that you made, but you also talked about how it made you the person that you are today.
Yes.
So maybe we talk a little bit about what has inspired you the most out of that journey.
I think helping people that help me get to where I'm at,
Yeah.
So, growing up, I didn't really believe in myself to graduate high school because my parents didn't graduate. My mom did get back to get her GED and everything. But I just felt like it was so difficult to do, but it really wasn't that hard. I just didn't think I could do it. And then when I went into college, I also didn't think I could go to college, and I didn't think I'd get into dental hygiene school because we were like, it's so hard to get in. And I got in with straight A's, and I was already a mom of 3 kids. So for me, you said the most challenging part.
What's the one thing that inspired you the most to and is a part of what you're doing now every day?
I would say, inspiring is just seeing people change and people help people. And I feel like that's how I got where I got to, even with all the challenges that I faced.
Yeah.
Just people willing to share information, give you a chance. And I feel like it's inspiring for me to do that for other people.
Yeah.
And with my son's situation, throughout school, being discriminated against and stuff like that by even adults, I feel like there were people, not just parents and students, but also staff members and teachers that called me crying or wrote a letter on our behalf. And if it weren't for that, he probably would have committed suicide. Mm-hmm. I may have committed suicide because I was so hopeless, you know, it was very hard. So for me, it's like, it's inspiring to experience all the people that God has placed in my life to give me the help that I needed. And then I'm able to like give that to other people. You know what I mean?
So you talk in the book about being a teen mom. And I think in the book, you say that you had one baby and you were pregnant with your second child when you walked for graduation. Is that
yes, sir.
Reading that right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you had that. You also grew up with, in and around abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all of that seems to have really fed into your desire to try to help counsel people and bring them through similar situations. Do you think it's helpful to you to have overcome those things? I guess would be the first question. And then I think the second question is, what way do you feel like that really does, help you do your job better today?
That's a complex question.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Yes. So, okay. So can you simplify that a little bit for me?
So I think, going through what you've gone through has obviously given you a unique perspective. Here's the way that I liken it. When I was at the Gazette and I was doing a lot of reporting on drug abuse and addiction and things like that.
Yes.
One of the things that I asked, we had one of the interventionists from the show Intervention come to Chillicothe. And I asked him, I said, do you think you have to be a drug addict to really be an effective interventionist or drug counselor? And he said, yes and no. I think it's helpful that you have the perspective of that. Mm-hmm. But in all honesty, like, we need people that haven't been through it, but just know how to empathize.
Absolutely.
And so I'd pose it in that same way. I'm certainly not asking for people to have bad experiences.
That's right.
But how do you take those bad experiences and then turn them into good for other people?
Well, whenever you mention that scenario, I think about Pat Friel.
Sure.
I worked with her after I left Alva's house as the mental health provider there. I went to work at Friel's we worked for drug court mostly. And when I was in college, I remembered, so at her office, a lot of people would be like, well, I don't want this person because they don't understand. They've never had the drug history and stuff like that. But I remembered in college at Ashland Theological Seminary, they distinctively said that that's actually like a myth. You absolutely do not have to have abuse or mental health or lived experience to help others. And I saw that with Pat.
Yeah.
I know that she's had her own story with different things, but I remember her distinctively saying she never had a drug history.
Right.
But when it came to doing intense outpatient groups, she could blow most of us away with all of her knowledge, book smart, and just, you couldn't really get anything past her when it came to education on substance abuse and stuff like that. So she was my supervisor before I opened. That's probably why I'm so good. No, I'm just joking.
That's all right. She'll love to hear that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of great trainers, and I give them the credit. Also, I give God the credit in my life. And there's several people that have poured into me, and she was one of them. So I think that was a primary example. I also think, like he said, that the guy that you had talked to, the other side of that is there's something called transference and countertransference. So you have to be very careful when you do have lived experience, because you can pour over on, people can it can come too much on you, or you can put it too much on them. And you have to have a good transparency, but also a limited amount of sharing, only when it's therapeutic for the client. And if you can do that beautifully, it can be very, very helpful.
Yeah.
But if you do it too much, or if it affects you too much and you don't get the help that you need, that could be a problem in the clinical setting. I think that it's a good balance. I think the peer recovery supporters that they have with lived experience, it's a beautiful thing, because they absolutely can connect with those group of people that think they have to be extremely validated and know that you understand, because in their mind, you will never understand until you walk in their shoes a little bit.
Right.
So there is a population of people that are just going to be receptive to that type of clinician. So,
yeah. And to me, that's the joy that I get from seeing really good counselors at work is, it's such a delicate balance of how much to like you said, to tell and of your own story, how much to just let them approach the counseling and give of their own selves.
Yes.
And intervene at times, right? Like with helpful information. Really good counselors know how to do that very, very well, but it's such a delicate balance. Obviously your training helps, but every person's different, right? And that must be the biggest challenge, I think, right?
It comes so natural for me.
Really?
Yes, it really does, because I read my clients very well. And I don't say that, and I say that very humbly. I think so this is kind of off topic, but kind of in topic. And I kind of felt this in my spirit to share with you on the way.
Sure.
But I practiced dental hygiene for 15 years. And the journey to get to where I'm at, really, no one will ever tell you I grew up and said, I wanted to be a dental hygienist or I want to be a counselor. Like literally this was my calling, and God put people in my path to get me there when I didn't believe in myself, or when I did not know the path to get there educationally or otherwise. Right. So I was working at the front desk at Chillicothe Racquetball Club. Marilyn Nyheiser is the one who hired me, and I was pregnant, and I hid my pregnancy from her. Like I came in this big dress and I was just like, okay, I've got to get this job. So I worked at the racquetball club and ran the facility there for, I'd say, a couple of years. And Dr. Sheila Gray came in one day, and she was sitting across, and we were by ourselves in the lobby. And she said, do you know anyone who needs a job? I said, well, what are you talking about? She said what she did. She's a dentist, and I was a dental assistant. And I said, well, I'm looking for a place that I could kind of move up in. I just knew in my mind it was like something I should probably check into. So just to make a long story short, I ended up applying for the job and I didn't get it. And I remember a lady had come out that I'd talked to often that played tennis. And I said, I really wanted this job. And she said, well, what'll set you apart is if you write a letter or you contact them and tell them you want to tackle the opportunity, then, they'll probably give you a better chance above other people. So I did it. And that's what they did. She said, if she wants the job that bad, give it to her.
Yep.
So, she poured into me a lot, helped me to get my radiology license. And then I really started believing in myself and things like that. I'm like, wow, I can take x-rays now. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So it kind of went from there. I think I decided to go to college whenever I got pregnant with my third child and I was on welfare. And I'm like, I'm depending on these people to send me a check to get food. And when it's late, I get stressed out, and my kids need me to do something different. You know what I mean? Like, This is not okay. I don't like how they talk to me. I don't like being talked down to. I don't like depending on them, because there were a couple people that tried to help, but then there were a couple people that didn't really treat me very well. And I didn't like that feeling. So make a long story short, I ended up going into, I did go to a higher university. I got into dental hygiene at the top of my class. And then, I really felt better about myself. And so I went into dental hygiene and graduated. But when I was in college, I worked at the prison system. I'm fast forwarding. And my dad had been in prison my entire life.
Yeah.
My brother had been in several times. And once I started working in the prison system, and I saw some things that happened there, I began to pray about it, and God's like, I've opened up the door for you to go back to college. I'm like, okay, I make $30 an hour at RCI, working 7 to 3:30 in the afternoon, 30 days a month paid. 30 days a year paid off. Why would I go back to college? So I began to pray and fast about it. And, it was very clear to me what I should be doing. And I went to be a counselor, and, I got a bachelor's degree in psychology, which you can do nothing with.
Like philosophy, right?
So I was like, Lord, why did you tell me to do this? Because he knew I wouldn't have went for a master's at that time, And so I said, okay, I'll go if you tell me where to go. He told me exactly where to go. And now I know why. I'm not always obedient. I definitely fall short, quite frankly, quite often.
Amen. You're preaching to the right people.
You know what I mean?
Good
I fall short, and I'm sitting here like, Lord, you talk to me like this. Why should I should be talking to you way more and getting way more clear answers. But I think he just really wants us to just have that relationship personally with, each person in their own way. And for me, I get convicted about those things at times, but he definitely shows me, where I need to improve and how I do my job now. But back to the point of dental hygiene. Most of the time when you work at dental hygiene, you know that you see the same hygienist for years. Well, if I'm going to college, I can't work at the same place. They can't just move my schedule around every quarter, right? Mm-hmm. So I started to sub, and I subbed at over 200, maybe 300 offices across the state. So when it comes to the counseling room, I feel like, again, I don't view myself as better than anyone else, but there are some people that have more diverse experience. And I definitely can say that I do, because when you're working with children, you're working in different economic sections, like I worked in the prison system. I saw the worst care that's possibly known to man. And then I worked for Dr. Sharon Schindler, who's one of the top probably 9 dentists in the whole world. And she's in Grandview, or she was when I worked for her. I mean, they were dropping $30,000 for 6 veneers. I mean, and she was perfect at it, and I worked for Dr. Gray, who was very, very particular on her treatment as well. And so I think that with all the different subbing I did, all the different dentists, all the different clientele, like I just began to really know people.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of things that just really opened my eyes, like about the world. So, and just how people interact.
Yeah.
And so I think in counseling, my diversity is very, very extreme, I would say, because of my unique experience of how I had to get through college. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I would say that, one of the things that I think is striking about you is that you are an incredibly, positive person. But you've overcome a lot of hopelessness in your life. You even admitted that there was many times when you felt like you had no hope. And I think, what I think probably makes you, I've not been counseled by you, but I would say that if I were to sit there as someone with no hope and know who you are, I would feel like, man, I'm in the same spot that she might have been in 20, 25 years ago, whatever. And I can maybe do this. Yeah, maybe I'm not convinced on the first visit, but I'm getting there, I think,
Yeah, I could see where you could inspire confidence in somebody just from your unique background and experience. Especially, talking about starting in dental hygiene as a dental hygienist and seeing just lots of different people.
Yes.
And that has to translate so well to the counseling side.
It really does. And I think they can pick up on my vibe too. Sometimes I've kind of compared myself to others at times, like when I was doing the Ross County Reentry Coalition and chairing it and vice president of it. Like I didn't speak the way some of the other professionals did. I, didn't know some of the terminology, but I had to come to the realization that this is who I am. It can be confusing to people. I might not sound the same, but I have to be true to myself, and and that's what people want to see. I mean, in the counseling session, especially, They want to just see that you do make mistakes, that you, I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself? I didn't hear you. Like, it's okay just to be real,
Yeah.
I think people have an appreciation for people who are real with them.
Yeah.
And no matter, where you're at in life, you want real people in your life that are not afraid to, people don't like it when people fake it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that being real takes you so far.
Yeah.
In the minds of, especially if you were counseling me, that's how I would want you to be. Because if I felt like you were talking over my head,
right,
or it just wouldn't feel sincere. So I think, sorry,
it's all right.
No, you're right though.
But that's how I feel.
Yeah. So then, how do you go to school? You go to get your master's, and how does that translate then to you opening Whole Life at some point? Because you said you worked for a couple other places before that, but
yes. So my experience as an intern was also very unique. I had heard them talk about Buckeye Ranch and how you got to do community, partial hospitalization, and residential is kind of how they sold it to me. So when I went to my interview, I told them, I said, I don't want to do just community. I want to do the residential because I wanted to be in a facility. Like I've always been very attracted to people being incarcerated and people being like the extreme cases. And actually this sounds bad, but like the more mild cases, I refer to all the other counselors that work in my office. I shouldn't say all the others, sorry. More of the, like if it's a QBHS, someone who may have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, they know that they're working alongside a master's degree counselor and in collaboration with them.
Right.
I'm not degrading them at all. They know that they're very highly respected and they're working under some of the greatest therapists around here. But for me, I particularly do, those cases make me almost fall asleep. Like it's just, I think that's just because of who I am and how my life has been.
Right.
I want to address someone who has severe, multiple different diagnoses, or I also specialize in eating disorders. So, and it's a little bit more complicated. So it's a challenge for me. And I feel like that's because of my lifestyle. I've just come to understand that that's what I like.
Yeah.
And I also like to reach out to like Dr. Brian and Dr. Larimore and other more experienced counselors like Max. He works here at the Rulon. Other more experienced counselors to like pull from what they have to offer.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it lends to your gifting as well, those types of cases. So,
Yeah. Cause as I hear you talk, I hear two things. Number one, that you like to be challenged with your cases, but you also solicit the thoughts and the viewpoints of others.
Yes, all the time.
Because, just like you can't get through whatever you are working through in counseling by yourself. A lot of people do that. They do it with a lot of, bad substances and other things, right? You can't just rely on your own knowledge. Sometimes you got to reach out to others who may have seen, other things or maybe seen the thing that you're struggling with in a patient 100 times.
Yes. And so how it translates, sorry, I do get sidetracked sometimes.
That's all right. We're all good.
That's also part of, my history. But so how it translates. So I went to Buckeye Ranch and I was in the partial hospitalization and residential community-based. I knew I did not like community-based. And I'll take a quick story about that. One time I went into a house, there were roaches. There was a lot of smoking in the house. Like if you're going to smoke, I used to smoke, I'll smoke outside, and I don't want to be in a house with a little kid. And I'm like looking at, I grew up sometimes homeless with roaches, like bugs and like just bad, and I don't want to like go into that because I'm thinking the parents and the environment is contributing. And to me, that's a complication for a different type of counselor.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? And that might be their calling, but it just was, I'm just like, I live that. I'm cool. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. If I had to, I definitely would, but it wasn't like, I knew that I wanted a facility. So I ended up applying for Alva's house and I got that position, which that's probably pretty rare because Pat actually worked there before I did. And she had an independent license. So they ended up putting me in that position. What was kind of funny is, when they hired me, they said, this is what a sex offender clinician does. And I'm like, oh, wow, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
And if you read the chapter, I have a history of sexual abuse. So I was like, okay, I walk out. I'm like, okay, Lord, I see what you're doing. I know I have a ministry as well in the area of forgiveness. And so I knew that once I went into this position, I needed the job. So I worked under Dr. Shively and I learned a lot about trauma and went and got certified through University of Cincinnati. And there came a point where I was in a room with, 9 male sex offenders, reading their discovery packets, training them, teaching them, and praying for them behind the scenes. Because what I realized was they're going to get out. They are not. That's why they're in front of me, is because they're in a halfway house. They're getting out.
Yeah.
So instead of mistreating them, I'm going to try to at least use this 90 days to 6 months to get in their head and make them realize and help them. Like maybe there's some kind of hope to stop doing what you're doing, because sometimes people are rehabilitated and sometimes they're not.
Right.
So, that was a pretty extensive experience there. But I also experienced throughout my jobs, even as 15 years old on up, lots of discrimination, clickiness, people taking, credit for things that I had done. And so naturally, every place I went, I was almost like a leader. Like I kind of wanted to fix everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to allow things to happen to people that shouldn't be happening anywhere that I see in it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I could help and sometimes I lost my job for it. So it just ended up that even at Pat's office, she put me in like a committee for like the detox and like the CAR for accreditation. And it was fun, but I always felt like there was, like I almost felt like I just naturally kept going there. So Alvin Mears was my counselor at one point, and somewhere along the lines, he just kind of said, you're ready to do this. You should just go ahead and open, and I have a supervisor for you. Because I didn't have an independent license. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you have to do. And Dr. Larimore and I have been together in the business ever since. Through that pushing, he taught me a couple things, how to credential myself and But I never said I wanted to open up my own practice. It was actually prophesied over me at Live Wellness Center when I worked there. And the owner said, you might open up your practice one day. So it was kind of put in my mind and in my spirit, but then it kind of naturally happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I ever really set out for it. And now that I'm in it, I would have done things a little bit differently. I would suggest someone be credentialed with several insurances for about 6 months before they open. But I still went back to dental hygiene. I left Pat's office. Like Alvin said, you should probably, go back to this so it's not a conflict, which I really respected that. And I think Pat respected that too. And she looked at me and she said, I'll never forget it. She looked me down and she said, I think you have what it takes. And so I held on to that all the times that the insurance has had me crying. I'm like, I got what it takes. I could do this, but yeah, I went back to dental hygiene 3 days a week while I opened. And that's how I funded, building the practice while I was getting insurance, credentialing and stuff like that.
Well, and I mean, let's just be honest with you. I mean, insurance companies will make anybody doubt themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Know a few times in my life that I've had to deal with them. No offense to our friends in insurance out there, but sometimes the process isn't smooth, right?
Oh, it's a challenge.
But I think, it does build perseverance.
It does.
It does build standing up for yourself. And those are things that when you run your own business, when you run your own shop and, then branch out into the fitness and dance world, you kind of need to know those things. And this is big. Horizon Fiber Internet is ready.
Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network
With the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do.
Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better. With real people, real rates, and a real service.
Connect with them today, and the first month is free, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331
Or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
So how did the fitness part of that then come about?
Let me see. So I started taking classes at the Y, and I met Lynn Russell, and she was a Zumba instructor. We became pretty good friends. I liked her positive attitude, and she ended up just saying, "Hey, you're really good at this. I'm going to take you to get certified." I'm telling you a lot of this stuff. This is how things have been.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome,
she took me and helped me get certified, and we stayed in the hotel together. And I think it was in Dayton, and I have like 4 licenses in it. But I really enjoyed dancing and jogging. That's one of the things that kind of kept me okay throughout my life. So I actually started Zumba because it helped me like release stress and stuff like that. And then they also talked to me about you could get vacations if you like on cruises and stuff. When you go on cruises, that's how they get the people there. The instructors, they pay for their whole week. You just have to pay for your flight. So that kind of attracted me too, because I wanted to be able to afford.
Missed our calling, Marty.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I should have been teaching Zumba.
Yeah. So I wanted to take advantage of an opportunity to get better discounts for vacations and stuff too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started teaching at different places like Abby's Gym, the Y, Ohio University had a pretty big following. I ended up having my own business for the first time at Zion Baptist Church, where I had like 20 to 30 people in that room. He let me put the mirrors in there, and they put a floor down. And for about, I don't know, I think it's maybe a good year or so I did that. And then I got accepted into the master's, and I went back into that. I can't do this. I think a master's degree is going to be so hard. Like I cannot get a master's degree and do this business, which looking back now, I definitely could have, but it just really froze me. So I gave all my clients to Lynn. I said, here, do what you got to do. Let's go to Carver, wherever you guys want to go. And, I just I needed to focus on the master's, right?
Yeah.
And so, but when I got out, that attraction back to the fitness industry came back, and I started teaching Zumba at the Salvation Army and had a lot of people, but I didn't really like the environment as well. So I started looking for a studio with a friend, and my idea was, and the vision was a studio with a practice.
So this is my favorite part of the story.
Attached.
This is my favorite part of the story, because in a real world sense, this is impossible to happen.
What, the location and everything?
Yeah, where you're at now. Mm-hmm. And So I need you to tell that story for the listeners, because when you told me, I got like chill bumps because I thought it was a pretty cool story.
Okay. So I started searching for a spot with Allie Joseph, and we had went downtown even to, what's that called? Where they make the glass, the real pretty glass.
Oh, Bernie and Max.
Yeah. So we went to Bernie and Max, and we went upstairs, and he was trying to rent us out that huge ballroom up there.
Yeah.
It was a little spooky.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is spooky. And there's a lot of work, and it was a lot of money. And we thought about the AC and the heat. So we was like, no, but it was pretty cool to meet him and that experience. But we started looking for all different places, and we were looking for, good parking, a place that had like a couple rooms for counseling, and then like a studio. And we could just do it different hours so that the noise wouldn't be a big deal. And we just couldn't find anything to fit. So when we went to Central Center, we found Euphoria Fitness and Dance Studio, which is right by the barbershop there. And we walked in, and there's a big room, and then there's a little room in back. And I'm just like, okay, Lord, I'm just going to settle and I'll do counseling back there in that little room. I'll put a door up, and this is what we'll do. And as soon as I walked outside, I heard this in my spirit, turn around. And I turned around, and right next door was an old office that I was a patient in. And I also practiced dental assisting and dental hygiene in. And it was Dr. Muckler's old dental office. He'd been there for, 20, 30 years probably. So I turned around, and I'm like, in my mind, oh my gosh, there's a lobby, there's a front desk, and there's like 4 rooms. And so I called Mr. Button. I said, listen, if someone tries to get that, can you make sure you let me know? Because I really feel like I need to open up there. And that's the story.
Yeah,
and I'm there.
Cool.
Yeah, that was, and I had no idea about that. Like you had worked there and all that other stuff. Like that's the part to me that is just fascinating because, and again, this is the type of thing that you were trying to do. And I get why you were trying to do it. It was convenience for you, right? Put one next to the other is really hard to pull off, when it goes along with the vision too. Sure.
Like the sleep, exercise, nutrition, like you can have the best therapist in the world and take medication, but if you're not even at least making a 50% effort in those areas, I mean, I lived it, I believe in it, and that's why I do what I do. And that's why I connected those both together.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a certain way,
Yeah, sure. And I think, for the most part, look, mind, body, spirit, I mean, I think you combine all of those things very well. You're getting exercise there. You're looking at the counseling part of it. Obviously your faith, drives you quite a bit.
Yes.
And so, I think the way that you've tried to approach it is to always be open to the next opportunity.
Yes.
And I think that's a very healthy attitude, So that begs the question of like, what's next, right?
So there's been quite a bit of transition as far as the studio goes. So my daughter, who has Hayata Photography and Film, she's been an entrepreneur since she was 11. So
an incredibly talented young lady.
Yes, people think, I taught her, but
I'll say it so you don't have to. Okay.
Okay.
Because I know like people are like, oh yeah, she just said it because of her daughter. But like, she's an incredibly talented young lady. Her photography is tremendous.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And her personality is just the same.
Yeah.
I mean, she really is a wonderful soul. Pretty advanced. So I have to pull her back a little bit. Like, hey, I'm still the adult here. But she's had a business since she was 11. Just very talented. And she took my hip hop class there, choreography with kids, because I did Zumba and hip hop. And after about a year or two, she just started almost just naturally taking over the class. So I started training her to do that. So she is the only choreographer there and the only studio instructor there at this time. And she has really advanced, and it's almost more of a mentor program too. Like, it's just like they come in and they are being, they're engaging in dance and fitness, but they're also engaging in leadership with someone and us who we really want to pour into people and give them the platform. We'll find it. If we don't have it, we will find it for you. So it's Hayata Photography Film is being housed there. When she turns 18, we'll be advancing that a little bit more. So that's what's happening there. With Whole Life, there's some other projects I'm working on, some writing material and things like that, and maybe some programs. Would like to advance it as far as we're just outpatient right now. And there's the intense outpatient. There's partial hospitalization, there's residential. Those are things that definitely, if it's in God's will, it'll happen. But I'm just not rushing it right now. I feel pretty content where I am. My identity is not wrapped up in any of it. I just am enjoying what I'm doing and kind of taking it step by step. But I do feel led to do a couple different things like 2024. So we'll see.
So
exciting. And
I would imagine that the hectic nature of getting to this point, you probably feel like, there's a part of this a rest period where you're like, I kind of earned this and I feel comfortable where I'm at. So go ahead and take care of me for a little bit, run these businesses and do the thing. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it took like 3 years for me to stop and realize what I was actually doing. People would say stuff and I'm
you opened during the pandemic, right?
No, before that, like 2018.
That's right, 2018. That's right.
But the thing is like, I started realizing I had a real problem with it. And I went back into, I have a counselor as well. And, I started like, it was really hard for me to take time off, not because I was a workaholic, but because I just didn't feel like, I've always had to ask permission. And I'm like, hang on, this is my business. I can do what I want. And I felt bad. Like I would feel bad. And sometimes I still do. Like if I'm taking off, but I'm actually off Wednesdays and every other Friday to work on business and to take care of structure.
Yeah.
And I still feel like, I wonder what other people think about that. And it's that, and it's just like, wait, it's just where I come from.
Sure.
Right.
And it's okay for me to do that because I have to do that to be able to delegate and to be able to grow and structure more.
Yeah.
And so over the last 2 years, I've really rested in that and like really just took it and executed it.
Yeah.
But those thoughts are still there sometimes.
Well,
and we're human, we all have different, categories of faulty thinking that we have to work on.
Sure.
And I use those as examples with my clients. I'll say, listen, this is what I did the other day, or this is what I struggle with that too. And this is how I handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one question that I think I really wanted to ask you is, I imagine there's probably a lot of people sitting out there and listening, or maybe just approaching this podcast and saying, they've never done counseling, things like that. I've found that counseling is, I don't see a counselor on a regular basis, but I feel like in the times that I've really needed to be counseled, those conversations with a therapist has been the thing that has really changed it for me. What would you say to somebody that says, it's a little too touchy-feely for me, and I don't think it's, something that I'm really going to benefit from?
I think if they have that mindset going into it, it's probably not something that they're really going to do, and they're probably not ready. But if they are considering it, I would say I spend a lot of time educating people about treatment. And I would like to do that on like videos and stuff eventually once I get to that point. I think it's really important for people to understand that, I guess the good example would be if someone had counseling, you're like, oh, it doesn't work. That's how I was when I was sexually abused. I went to Side of Paint Valley. My mom took me to a counselor. I didn't like it. I never wanted to get back. She didn't take me back. But the thing is maybe it was the wrong fit. If I had sexual abuse by a male, why I should have never even seen a male probably.
Sure. Right.
Now I'm not saying you can't, because you can, some people can, but at that age, it was a trigger for me.
Yeah.
And I did not want to talk about it. So like, I feel like that therapist kind of pushed me too far, and I literally did not go back until I got into my master's program. And they told me, you need to go to counseling, go to this program for eating disorder and your trauma and the things you're going through with your son. And I just learned so much.
Yeah.
So I feel like people need to know it's not always a good fit. You also need to know what license you're being seen by. And most of the public do not know that.
Right.
You can call and they'll put you with a counselor. And most of the time I think places do want to place you with the right people. But the fact is that if there's a shortage or just different circumstances, you might be placed with a person that does not even have the right licensure for your condition. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge issue. It's a huge financial issue in our nation, quite frankly.
Yep.
There's got to be a way to tighten that one up, because if someone has a dual diagnosis and they're being sent to someone who does not have that training, that's a problem, because they're not even going to pull those symptoms out to identify what's happening. And so we're only treating a part of it, and we want to know, why do they keep relapsing? Why do they keep, you might need two therapists, or you might need a different set of eyes to take a look at that. So I think when it comes to people, you have to really educate them about giving it a chance, getting with the right fit,
Right.
talking to someone who has had good therapy and giving it a try.
Yeah.
And also being willing to maybe keep someone that you are so with and maybe get a second opinion and say, well, not trying out a bunch of people, but just kind of being open to, being picky. Now you can go online and pick, anything from race, sex, to what their beliefs are, to what their specialties are. So you can see quite a bit now. And I would suggest people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's all incredibly good advice. And I'll tell you why. And I think it's important for us to talk about that because there are a lot of people out there today that are not getting help because they've believed a misconception about therapy and counseling and things like that. I know some of them. I've encouraged them with my own story, but sometimes it's just got to be, sometimes you got to get to a point, right?
that's right.
And I appreciate what you say there because, I believed that way once, Like,
I did
why?
too.
Why? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
This person doesn't know me. How are they going to listen to my problems and figure me out?
When they have their own problems. I've heard people say that too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the point is, we all have them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
it's all how we manage them too,
Yes.
So with having so much help to get to where you're at now, I imagine that that's also created in you a want to help other people, not only just in the counseling realm, but to try to help people figure out what their thing is, right? How do you feed that beast?
Of me wanting to help.
Yeah.
I was taught something, I don't know, it was just impounded in my brain. Like, you never work harder than your client.
Right.
And I say that to my clients. If I see them like, when they're like, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, well, how can I help you today? If you don't know, I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I am not going to work harder than you.
Yeah. You didn't come in with like a little sign above your head that said what was up,
Yeah. Like, I don't work harder than them. I'm really honest with them and really transparent and real with them. Like, I see that you're not really motivated. Would you like to reschedule next time? Like, I mean, I will get that way if they need me to. And then they'll kind
This
of,
is real, man.
yeah. And then they'll kind of open up like, okay, I get it. Okay. Well, this is really what's going on. So,
Yeah.
I think that challenging them to do the work themselves because they are the expert on themselves, and me not working harder than them. And also just having that balance. Like, just because I want to help people, doesn't mean I do it for them or do it to the point where it exhausts me.
Right.
There's another thing that counselor burnout, people talk about all the time. But I think I've been able to internally recognize those signs. And I think that that's important. Like, if I notice I'm thinking about or getting into old habits too much, or I'm not getting enough sleep, or I'm irritable or not having enough energy, then I need to see if I need to take something off my plate.
Yeah.
That's one of the things when I went to Ashland Theological Seminary, Dr. Rushling, he's very just so intelligent. It was just almost really annoying because he was beyond intelligent. And we were all like, what is wrong with this guy? He's way too smart. And he's like, the very first conversation he had with all of us, he said, everyone in this room, if you have not had a conversation with God about what you're going to take off your plate to fit this program on, I want you to get up and walk out, have that conversation with God, and do not come back until he gives you an answer. So, it sounds very strict and harsh, but he meant it. And he was so right. And I've never forgot that in my career. Like, what do I need to take off my plate? People say, you're busy. I'm productive. And I know how to balance my plate.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I need to take something off, and sometimes I have to tell people no a little bit more in my family.
Yeah.
I'm more, I give to my kids and family, even to my adult kids, like so much that sometimes I notice that is an issue for me. So I've learned how to really scale that back a little bit. I just think it's just being ready to know that the passion I have to do the things that I'm called to do, I'm not going to be able to do it if I'm
Right.
not controlling that beast,
Yeah.
as you say.
Well, and I come from a specific place in that. So when I left the Gazette, when I was the editor, especially at the end when I was over 2 papers, it was always 24/7, 365 being on. Maybe, maybe taking some time off, but really it wasn't restful.
Right.
And so when I left and went to the chamber, and my life was a lot different, I didn't have to do all that. I was still living downtown here, and sirens would go off, and I would say, I'd get up automatically, and I would like, what am I doing? Like, I've been going 2 years. This doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And I had to work through therapy. Like, I need to change this about myself. I'm not that person anymore, but I've had 25 years of a pattern of just having to always go full tilt.
Yes.
And spreading myself way too thin. I'd get sick all the time and everything, so I had to unlearn that behavior and figure out a new way. And, I'm very thankful to very patient therapists, because I'd get angry in the sessions. Like, I just want you to fix me, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably hear that a lot, right? Like, I want you to fix it. I want to be able to walk out of here and be fine. And they're like, well, it's a process, and so I think it's important to kind of say, sometimes unlearning behavior is probably harder than learning new behavior, right? Like, I mean, I
for
think
sure.
for my purpose, I've been able to navigate those waters a little bit, but they were super choppy, and they're still a little choppy sometimes.
Absolutely.
Everybody doesn't figure it out all at once, right? So, well, I loved sharing your story, because I think, number one, I love, just the effort that you've had to put into everything that you're doing, and the great work. And I think you do really important work. And I think I told you that when we were at the anniversary, not only the counseling, but just the idea of having a place where there's folks that can go and take classes and be fit. And then, as I said before, the melding of the mind, body, spirit concept, I think is really, really important for people. And so thanks for coming on. Is there anything else that I tell people where to find you, address and so on and so forth, so that way they know what's up? But
no, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, sure.
You helped me kind of break, maybe this was part of the mission too, because I told you I had the desire to do some videos as well. Actually, I have like Hayata, who is one of my partners in business. She has worked with me on developing, I think, 265 topics that we have right now on an Excel sheet. So we're preparing for it.
yeah,
And I've just kind of backed off, and because this setting, like I like what we're talking about, and I feel really accomplished afterwards. Like, okay, I said some things that could help somebody, but it's a little bit like I don't prefer it, but I want to get used to it.
sure. Yeah.
And you sound really comfortable in this. Like, you sound
We've
great.
been doing this for a little
You
while.
just sound amazing. Yeah. You're just, and you're looking and you're giving me these looks. You're like my counselor over here. So I think it's really good.
That makes two of us. He's my counselor too.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it's helpful to see like how successful like a setup is. You do your work, so yeah, it's exciting. We are in Central Center in Chillicothe. You can call our office at 740-771-9022. We do an intake screening for everyone just to make sure everyone's safe until we can get you in and to get you with the right person. You can contact us through the website, which is, WLCSLLC.com, or you can just type up Whole Life Counseling in Chillicothe or West Union. You'll be able to find the website. You can message us right through there, and it comes directly to my email. Euphoria is right next door to it at 10 Central Center. So we're at 10 and 20 Central Center in Chillicothe, Ohio. And we can also treat anyone in the state of Ohio. So you can call and we can do telehealth if you're appropriate for that treatment. And then I can life coach anyone worldwide. That's not really regulated right now. It's just not full. It can't be diagnostic type of treatment. So those are all the ways that you can get a hold of us, also through Facebook. So
And it's
and Instagram.
Euphoria, YOUPHORIA. Did I get it right?
You have it right. We spelled it UYOU because the other name was already taken. So that's how
That's really funny to say that, because when we did a faith-based publication at the Gazette, and we found out they do a trademark search. We just wanted to call it Faith. That's all we wanted to call it. Faith. And we did a trademark search, and some church in Kansas or Oklahoma or something had trademarked the word faith. So we had to call it Scioto Valley Faith to get around it.
Gotcha.
So as specific as you can get around those trademarks, so, but again, thank you for coming on. I really respect what you're doing, and I'm happy that you're doing well, and wish you all the best.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the help that Chamber has given us and the connections. You need people and you need resources, and at times we all need to share information that we have. So I'm glad to be a part of the Chamber too.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
We don't deserve it. It feels a little strange, but I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it all